Have you ever been in a situation they won't tell you what they want or what they expect, and they won't give you what you want or do what's expected of them by you? They don't think you have the right to have any expectations of them. They're offended by the very thought of it. They won't tell you what they expect because they don't want you to lie to them or be fake. And they won't do what you want them to do because you might get used to that. That's a pattern. They don't want to get in a pattern where he starts to think he's always going to get what he wants. They won't tell you what the fuck they want. They won't give you what you want. Anytime that you express anything about what you expect of them, they immediately fucking throw it at you. Fuck you, motherfucker. You don't get to fucking enforce anything on me. You don't get to expect anything of me. You never get to expect anything of me. And they won't fuck off. They won't fuck off. You won't tell me what you expect. You won't do what I expect you to do. You don't do what I want you to do. Why the fuck would I want to participate in a relationship with you? It's like living next to a wild animal that might fucking kill me in my sleep, being around people like you. You're a threat. The only appropriate way to deal with someone like you is to fucking slit your fucking throat and bury you in the forest. You're dangerous. You can't be negotiated with, you can't be bargained with, you can't be reasoned with. And you can't be predicted. You can't be anticipated. You can't be planned for. The only appropriate way to deal with you is to fucking kill you. Do you understand that that's my perspective on you? That the only appropriate way to deal with you is to kill you. That is the only rational response. That is the only rational way to deal with people like you, is to fucking kill you. Do you understand that? That it's an act of insanity and self-destruction to not make every effort possible to kill you. Remember when I was 19 years old, my brother and I used to be really tight. We were really tight. We had each other's backs, and we never screwed each other over. We were always had each other's back. And I had this friend of mine, I can't remember his name anymore, little Italian guy. He talked to me about it. He was like, he couldn't understand how me and my brother could be so tight the way that we were. He said that in his family, it's not like that at all. They gather together for holidays and whatnot because they're family, but they don't have that like what me and my brother had. And he couldn't understand it. And he wanted me to explain it. And I said to him that the thing between me and my brother is that we're family. But we both know that just because we're family doesn't mean that we get to treat each other with contempt. In other families, they're contemptuous and they snipe at each other and they make little backbiting comments and they're just like nastiness. There's so many people in the world, they get together on the holidays because they're supposed to get together on the holidays and they dread it. It's like is like a stereotype. It's like a cliche. People get together for the families and they dread it and they fight with each other and they snipe at each other and they treat each other badly and they're so glad when they can leave and they don't have to do it again until next year. That's like a cliche. And the thing with me and my brother was that we both knew that we would not allow each other to treat each other with contempt. That if he treated me with contempt, I'd fucking punch him in the fucking face. And vice versa. That if I treated him with contempt, he'd punch me in the fucking face. He wouldn't just take it because we're family. And that was why we were tight like that. Because we had this understanding, or at least I thought we did. Perhaps I was wrong, perhaps it was just me. But there was this feeling that I only have one brother. If I treat my brother with contempt, or he treats me with contempt, if we have a contemptuous relationship, then I'll be burdened for the rest of my life with a contemptuous relationship with my brother. So, both of us were conscious of that. And that perpetuated for many fucking years. Until one day, my brother and I stopped being close, I guess, and one day he decided that he was better than me. I spent my whole life loving my little brother, caring for my little brother. I never compared myself to my little brother. I never really compared myself to anything. You hear that stuff about Jordan Peterson says about how don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to the man you were yesterday. I didn't need anybody to tell me that. Other people read that in the book and go, wow, that's pretty insightful. I should do that. I didn't need anybody to tell me that. I never compared myself to other people. I only compared myself to who I was yesterday, and I aimed at my goals. I guess my brother was, I guess it was different with him. That he spent his whole life feeling like he had to look up at me and live in my shadow. And then one day he told me that now he's gonna be a doctor and he's better than me. And now I have to look up at him and he gets to look down at me. And suddenly he was contemptuous. And that was the end of that. And I don't know, like, I spent my whole life, I never treated people with contempt. You hear people talk about respect, like you have to earn respect. Yes and no. Yes and no, right? Like, there's a difference between treating somebody with respect because they're a fucking human being and respecting somebody enough that when you want advice, you go to them. There are people that you go, you know what? I got a problem here. I can't figure it out. I'm going to go ask that guy for advice because I respect him. There's that. And then there's the fact that you could be walking down the street and you could see some fucking crackhead on the ground. And you could be contemptuous to him because you are contemptuous of this little crackhead. And you're so much better than him. And you're such a piece of shit. And then you turn your back and wait for the lights to change. And he sticks a knife in your back. Because he might be a fucking disgusting little crackhead. But he can stick a knife in your fucking back. And if you don't fucking treat people with respect, even if they don't deserve it, then you always have to look over your fucking shoulder. You always have to look over your shoulder. And that's why you treat people with respect. You don't have to respect them enough that you fucking seek them out and you want advice. But that doesn't mean you treat people with contempt. Because when you treat people with contempt, it never goes back. You hear the things about, like, divorce. People go to see counselors talking about divorce and marriage counselors and shit. And the number one predictor isn't that they fight all the time. If they're fighting all the time, that's not the predictor for divorce. The predictor for divorce is contempt. That this person's angry about something and this person rolls their eyes. The marriage is over. The relationship is over. And it's not just marriage, it's everything. You treat people with contempt. I'm angry at you because I'm pissed off about something that you did or something that you said and I'm angry. And you just roll your eyes. Relationship's over. All these people out there in the world. There are so many people in the world that told themselves that they loved me. That means they told themselves that they loved me. They told each other that they loved me. You treat me with contempt. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit if you fucking thought you loved me or felt that you loved me or any of that shit. Treat me with contempt. I never treated you with contempt. I never treat anybody with contempt. I could be talking to a fucking crackhead, a fucking crazy person, and I will still treat them with respect. I'll have a conversation with them. I'll have a dialogue with them. I'll see them as a human being who feels all the same feelings that I feel. Love and hate and anger and fear. And they have problems to deal with the same as me. They need a warm place to sleep. They need food in their bellies. They're human beings. And you don't treat human beings with contempt. Even if you know that they're beneath you. All this stuff about equality. So many people in this world talk about equality this, equality that, equality, 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 equality. The people that talk about equality are some of the most contemptuous people in the fucking world. They talk about equality, but they don't live it. They don't live that life. They're the most contemptuous people you've ever fucking met in your life. And they talk about equality and respect. Did you see the common theme? I put up a video of a comedy routine by a guy talking about smart women versus clever women. About how when you date a smart woman, this comedian, his girlfriend, his wife is smarter than he is. And she says, I think I'm right. And he says, I think I'm right. And she lists off a bunch of facts. And then he goes, oh, I guess you're right. And he contrasts that with dating a woman who's clever. Or when you date a woman that's clever, she's not interested in the issue of the moment. She wants to judge your character. She's got a long list of things in her head that she didn't deal with at the time. She was angry about all these things at the time, but she didn't deal with it. She just bottled it up and bottled it up. And now she uses it against you now. If she talked about it then you could have addressed it and dealt with it, and it would have been the past. But she didn't talk about it then. Now it's an issue in the past. It's long gone. She didn't deal with it then. She's got a grudge, and she's been holding on to it for a special occasion. And now she's being clever. And you're trying to fucking say, you're having a disagreement with her, and she's judging your character. What about the time that you did this? What about the time that you did that? What about the time that you did this? You're a this. You're a that. You're a this kind of person. And when you date a smart woman, life moves faster, you get more done, because she doesn't fuck with you. But when you date the clever ones, the passive-aggressive ones, the ones that are judgy little bitches, the judgmental little bitches that hold up their fucking anger inside and wait to use it against you, those are the fucking ones that you gotta get a restraining order against those. And then Bill Burr, he's talking the same type of thing. He says the same thing about how some women, when you get into an argument with them, when you have a disagreement, they're on point. We're arguing about this. We have a disagreement about this. And they stay on point, and they stay on point, and they stay on point until you're finally on your knees begging them for forgiveness. Bill has a different way of talking than that other guy did. But then the bad ones, they go rogue. They fucking start thinking about all the things that make you upset, things you're insecure about, things from the past, and they start concocting this evil statement to make you call them a cunt, to piss you off so fucking much that you call them a cunt. And then after they call you a cunt, it's like, well, that's no reason to call me a cunt. That echoes from if you saw my video about when I talked to the anger management counselor, about how I try to be reasonable with women. I try to be reasonable. I try to care about them and cherish them and love them. And if we have a disagreement, I try to be reasonable. But they won't be reasonable. They're passive aggressive. They're moody and bitchy. And they fucking attack your character. They talk about things you did in the past. They're bringing up the past and trying to fucking make you upset. They're either stubborn, mopey, or they're whatever. The point is that those people are crazy making. and you can't have a healthy relationship with them, and you gotta leave. That comedy sketch about smart versus clever, this Billboard stuff about no reason to hit a woman, the stuff that my anger management counselor, who was a woman, told me about how I'm not the problem, that I'm a reasonable person. I try to be reasonable with people. I try to participate in a mutually rewarding relationship, and these women, they try to trap me in a relationship where I'm not happy with the relationship. I'm feeling miserable and I'm unhappy every day, and I want the relationship to change so we can stay together long term and that this relationship can be sustainable long term. And they don't want to change so that the relationship can be stable long term. And they also don't want me to leave. They're happy taking advantage of me and screwing me over, and they don't give a shit if I'm miserable or not. There's a theme through all of this. There's a theme through all of this. And what it really amounts to is most women are useless cunts. Most women are disagreeable, useless fucking cunts.